Hello, and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. Just slightly over a year ago, I brought forth a story to you about the horrors that can happen in small towns. Although the story felt incomplete without a formal resolution, it does not mean the cold file stayed cold. As a matter of fact, what I'm bringing you today is what was considered a solved murder more than 45 years ago, only for the murder to come back to life in 2025. See you in a minute. Welcome back. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for your patronage. And if you're new to Scott's Odyssey, welcome aboard. So, the story I'm referring to is that of Stella Williamson. If you didn't see it in the thumbnail or title. Yes, the same Stella Williamson of Gallitzin, PA, who brutally committed infanticide to her own children. Not once, not twice, not even 3 or 4 times, but a total of 5 different times between 1925 and 1934 within her own home. How do we know that? Well, she kept each infant post-mortem, wrapped them like mummies in dated newspapers, and kept them in a wooden trunk in her attic. Yes, everything I just told you is 100% true and factual. And if you'd like more details on how this all played out, I'd highly suggest taking a moment to pause this video and check out the one that's linked below or up in the right corner of this video, where I describe from beginning to end the dark story of Stella Williamson and her babies. Spoiler alert, if you are not familiar with this story, go watch the Stella Williams videos now, or you're not going to understand what unfolds from this point forward. Now, why am I making this video? Well, if you remember the story of Stella or just watched it, you'll recall that the babies, post-examination by Coroner Barron, were interred, all of the infants together in a single pine box at a non-disclosed portion of a potter's field so as not to attract grave robbers. And that brings us to this video. Back in the early and mid-1800s, there was a real problem with bodies being stolen from graves by medical students at their local colleges, as well as physicians who sought to do experiments with real cadavers and body tissue samples. It was so bad that the rise of mort safes, or metal cages over a burial site, grew exponentially. And if you want to learn more about that in Pennsylvania, go check out the video I did on hooded grave sites called Hooded Graves of Vampires. Mort safe, no. Vampires, well, kinda yes. Where we explore the reasons behind this practice that took place. Anyway, the stealing of cadavers was indeed a bit of a problem. Dr. Thomas Dent Mütter was an extremely well-known surgeon and esteemed doctor out of the University of Pennsylvania, as well as Medical Institute of Jefferson College, which was later known as the Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia. Because of his skills, along with those of Charles de Lucien Meigs, the professionals of their time would often refer to them as the Faculty of 41. That's another story. Thomas saw the problem with the stealing of cadavers and decided to take all of his foundation earnings in 1858 and put them into a museum specific for scientific research regarding the human body in order to stop people from digging up the dead. The museum was named the Mütter Museum and was the first medical history and science museum located in Center City, Philadelphia. The contents of this museum included anatomical and pathological specimens, wax models, and as much of the antique medical equipment that could possibly be brought together in a single location. Yes, this museum is still around. Yes, you can visit this museum, but mind you, It is not for the faint of heart by any means. No, you cannot record or take photos within the site due to the respect for the dead. I will say, the Mütter Museum is really neat when it comes to looking at medical oddities and rare specimens or truly strange diseases and physical birth defects that happen within the human species. And there are not just a few random things like giants or exceptionally small humans, but as of 2025, there are over 37,000 specimens with only 10% on display. Some of these specimens include bodies that were prematurely ended by violent means, providing a first-hand representation of how those means expressed on bodies, such as death by hanging, ligature, blunt objects, etc., giving medical professionals a clear look into crime scene investigation. Other objects were things like the human heart of Robert Pendarvis, who donated his heart for study because he had the rare condition of acromegaly. Oh, and yeah, Robert Pendarvis is still alive at the time of this video with his new heart that he received through organ donation, which saved his life. Can you imagine going and seeing your own heart in a medical museum glass jar full of preservative? Bet you that leaves a mental mark. That leaves us moving forward to 2025, or rather some interesting things that happened between 2021 and 2025. Kate Quinn was the executive director of the museum. And yeah, this is going to get sociological, which means a lot of people are going to hear political when I speak about sociological, and those people are, well, mentally ill. So if they don't like it, they can leave or wait for me to delete their hatefully aggressive comment or make fun of their idiocracy, but that is for after the release of this video. Sociologically, Kate Quinn was a far left-leaning person, and on her own accord, based on her own feelings and not on the experience of the job, nor in any manner in congruence with the sight and foresight of the basic purpose behind the entire College of Physicians of Philadelphia, which was to exist as a scientific body dedicated to the advancement of science and medicine. Well, Kate decided to shut down the online paid members website. The public website removed access to the museum from the public and private sectors, as well as all the literature regarding both modern and antiquated medical procedures, because she felt of her own accord it was unethical. As time passed, many specimens started to, well, disappear, including Robert Pendarvis's heart and many other very rare specimens. That takes us back to a 2-page letter of alleged confession and shame that was handwritten by Stella Williamson in late 1960 that would circumstantially, meaning it was neither a confession nor a finger pointing, but enough for the police to make assumptions and to be used to close the case of who, what, when, where, and why there were babies unalive wrapped in newspaper, then placed in a trunk in her attic. The skeletons of the children were sent to Philadelphia to be examined by a professional forensic medical practitioner. The causes of death and time were all recorded. The skeletons were repackaged and sent back to Ebensburg to end up buried in a single pine box at a potter's field in Laurel United Cemetery of Cambria County, in a part of the potter's field that would remain unmarked and known only to the coroner and the sexton, a sexton being a cemetery groundskeeper and administrator of all the deceased placed within the property, as well as records and future use plots. That brings us all the way forward 45 years to a very surprising event in June of 2025. The Mütter Museum disclosed information to the county coroner, Jeff Lees, that they had 2 intact infant baby skulls identified as being to 2 of Stella's 5 babies. Yes, specifically the skulls, not the rest of the remains and nothing of the other 3 babies. media did not disclose any more information regarding any of this subject and circumvented all the crazy questions that would come with such a discovery through a lot of non-disclosure techniques and a little of the look over here, not over there magic being used in the current government and mass media when deceit and outright lies have taken over the place of news and investigative journalism. So with that, the county coroner painted a picture of, oh, it's not a big deal, and told that whomever they are, would be sure to have the skulls reunited with their skeletons and siblings at the appropriate location within the potter's field immediately. Now, we shall insert eating crow at the cemetery. The coroner had a team, yes, a team of people start digging the potter's field to locate the Williamson children. The team was a forensic anthropology team from Mercyhurst University. With all the excitement that could be possibly had at doing the right thing and returning the children's skulls with their skeletons, Chief Deputy Coroner Joseph Hrybar stated, based on the sexton's documentation, right there, the Williamson babies are right there. It's saying that this is indicating they're at number 270, meaning grave marker 270 in Potter's Field. Hrybar continued with stating, it's reassuring and nice to note that the county has done a very good job of preserving a lot of these records going back to the 17 and 1800s. And then the story ends, all happy, and we continue with our lives, right? Now, not on Scott's Odyssey. The team dug out the site and, well, did not find the pine box, nor any remains of anybody or anything in marker 270. They continued to dig in and around for about a week to no avail. So where are the Williamson children? Well, according to Hrybar, it seems from what I'm finding is that everything is consistent and in a general location, but to the ability to say exactly underground and if they're directly below the markers, because from what I'm finding out is those markers were placed years after the burials. Yeah, he said that. He also said, from what we gathered, when burials happened back in those days, there was a map in the county maintenance department where they checked off where the burials occurred and their names. So we're currently searching for that record. Apparently, even though we can find people going back into the 1700s in this cemetery, but have to go outside of the site that is managed down to the very last inch of a paid-for parcel by the deceased so as not to overstep from one plot to another, yet cannot find the correct plot location even though it is marked, and somehow this plot located of a 2-foot by 2-foot pine box is taking up more than a 9-foot by 5-foot area, and they have to look at county, not cemetery records to find exactly where these children's bodies are located. There was supposed to be a response within a week of this event from the authorities, but all has gone but cricket quiet, even up until now, October 2025, with no response to any of my emails from any of the, let's call them, actors in this event. Now, here's the overall problem with all aspects of this particular follow-up to an odd to see and odd to hear story from over 45 years ago. Aside from the absolute atrocities that took place in Gallitzin and the poor work by the police department closing a cold case based on absolutely no real tangible or material evidence and only a handwritten letter that was not traced back to Stella as the official writer, but only assumed it was Stella because it had her name on it, and even with that it was purely circumstantial and found in quite an awkward manner. Not to be any more confusing or to a crazy situation, but infanticide to begin with, but now we have a situation where the former coroner, in collusion with the sexton, both had to know that the bodies were either not returned completely or not, during a time that the Mütter Museum was paying money for medical oddities and medical oddities surrounding obscure deaths. But alas, nobody is calling foul play. Nobody is calling for a formal investigation by the FBI, who most definitely are the people who you should be neck deep involved with this. But as of October, nobody seems to care anymore. Yeah, I don't know if I should be saying something like this, and this is who we once were and still are today. Or someone call the local senators, maybe some appropriate authorities, because someone in Cambria County was trafficking human body remains, and someone still is keeping it a secret. Well, I hope you liked this video regarding the update to Stella Williamson and her children. If you'd be kind enough to give a like to the video, because that's what financially helps this channel keep going. If you would click the subscribe, which is totally free, there's no actual subscription payment. It just means that when new videos come out, you'll get an alert, or you should get an alert. Click the bell so that you get them as soon as they come out. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.